Nebraska agriculture shines here at the State Fair as 4-H and FFA kids show off their hard work. On this special edition of Grow, we're there as Nebraska's entire congressional delegation weighs in on the next farm bill. And with EPDs, we can predict cattle genetics, but building cowboys and cowgirls takes grit. And cornering cattle with stock dogs, it's all straight ahead on Grow. Thanks for joining us. Our top story tonight here at the State Fair. Farmers come together in support of the Farm Bill in the face of proposed budget cuts. Here's more.
Ag is the economic engine in this state. 1 in 4 jobs are related to agriculture.
A Cherry County rancher, Senator Deb Fisher says funding for agriculture is under fire.
We're hearing from some groups in Washington who are targeting the Farm Bill as the #1 program to eliminate. That cannot happen.
President Donald Trump proposed billions in cuts, specifically to crop insurance. The program requires farmers to pay in, and corn growers say that's far more effective than paying out disaster by disaster.
The current crop insurance program, which as mentioned requires substantial farmer-paid premiums, is far more effective in targeting assistance than any ad hoc disaster program.
Farm Bureau and the other organizations that help.
Senator Ben Sass tells us farmers need that tool to manage risk, but he's skeptical a Republican-controlled Congress that has struggled to come together on other issues can pass a farm bill soon. Most of the discussion revolves around crop production. Livestock producers would like $150 million a year to build a vaccine bank in case of foot and mouth disease.
The ability to rapidly vaccinate susceptible livestock in the face of an FMD outbreak is critical.
Representing the most productive farm district in Washington, Congressman Adrian Smith highlighted the need to support trade programs in the Farm Bill, while Representative Don Bacon says the nation needs policy that supports this vital industry.
Less than 10% of our income goes towards food. No other country in the world has that blessing. And it's because our American farmers and our ranchers are the most effective, productive in the world. And
More now from Senator Ben Sass.
I guess philosophical question, where do you see the government having a role, if at all, when it comes to disaster payments, ad hoc payments versus crop insurance, and what level of support would you be comfortable with in terms of crop insurance from a federal perspective?
Yeah, so first let's set the baseline of what's in the Farm Bill, because there's a lot of misunderstanding out there. In Nebraska, there's pretty good understanding, but across the nation, there's confusion. So the Farm Bill is between $450 and $500 billion over a 5-year period. 80% of that is actually nutrition programs. So the crop insurance programs that are most essential for stability and predictability in a marketplace like ours are only 13%. So all the crop supports and all the crop insurance programs amount to only 13% of the Farm Bill. And I think a lot of times there's confusion that somehow this is a much bigger federal support program than it is. So I think we need predictability. We need 5- and 6-year long farm bills that are done early. I don't think that's likely to happen here, but what you want is predictability. The breakdown in the 2 primary crop insurance programs ended up being about a 56-44% breakdown in terms of what farmers and producers selected last cycle. There may be a reset button where when the 2018 Farm Bill, whether that happens in 2018 or 2019, happens, there may be a chance for people to reevaluate across those programs, but I think they're relatively stable. What you need is a long-term runway on them so producers can make rational decisions, not short-term decisions driven by government inefficiency.
But do you think that the government does have a role in part of that crop insurance program, along with producers having some skin in the game too?
Yeah, I think both are important. So the government obviously has a role in trying to stabilize a marketplace. Food is different than other kinds of production because you can't just pick up and move your land. And so land is tied into lots of other things where there is a public sector interest in conservation and in water management, for instance. And so the government clearly has a role in this space, but we also want producers to have skin in the game to make long-term rational decisions based on what the marketplace will support, not based on the lobbying power of different interest groups.
Farmers made concessions in the last Farm Bill, giving up direct payments but getting support for crop insurance. Overall, how do you feel about the most recent Farm Bill? That's the subject of this week's poll question. Log on to Twitter and give us a follow and cast your vote. Now to results of last week's poll question. Is your county truly livestock friendly? Here's a look at the results of this non-scientific poll on our Twitter account. It looks like most folks say yes, their Nebraska county is indeed livestock friendly. And here at the State Fair, what better place to designate Hall County as livestock friendly? NTV's Rashida Kaba has our story.
Now that Hall County is considered to be livestock friendly, the governor telling me it's about balancing rural life for ranchers and residents.
And that livestock friendly designation really lets the world know that Hall County is open for business.
And in Nebraska, business equals agriculture.
1 in 4 jobs in Nebraska is tied back to agriculture. So even though you've got a big urban area in Grand Island here, it's important that we continue to grow agriculture, in particular livestock.
Governor Ricketts and the Nebraska Department of Agriculture granted Hall County the distinction of being a livestock-friendly county at Sunday's State Fair breakfast.
The county really doesn't give up any of its local control to become a livestock-friendly county.
When a county becomes livestock-friendly, it's open to new agricultural developments.
By looking at their regulations and the procedures they go through to grant a conditional use permit or not, that's how the department decides whether or not they fit into the program.
But it also protects those who aren't in the industry but live rurally by making them aware of these regulations.
Moving into a rural area, they're not saying no, you can't, but they want to go through a process that makes sure that they're aware that maybe there's going to be a few more flies because they're in close proximity to a livestock operation.
And because Hall County is one of the larger rural counties in the state, it makes this unique.
Hall County is about 56,000 people, and about 48,000 of them live in Grand Island. But it's also got about $353 million in ag sales, at least in 2012, and about $120 million, or about a third of that, is livestock.
Everybody is on the same page.
One of those ranchers is Greg Robb.
Yeah, I feed cattle and farm a little bit on the side.
He tells me being livestock friendly is to be neighborly.
We need open lines of communication with your neighbors. You know, nobody wants to be at odds with their neighbor. We all want to get along. And I think if there's clarity and everybody knows what the rules are and everybody follows them, you know, things are great. You get along fine.
The governor also out in the area this week celebrating the growth of a local popcorn plant. We go back to Rashida for more on Preferred Popcorn.
Preferred Popcorn is expanding its facility by more than 22,000 feet. Today, the governor telling me that this is not only going to be great for ag across the state, but for trade worldwide.
Folks around here are really good at growing popcorn.
And that's why Preferred Popcorn received Nebraska's first EOP grant.
One of the things we want to do is grow Nebraska, and to do that we have to have the proper infrastructure.
The grant will be split between the Department of Economic Development and the Department of Transportation. It'll even allow them to pave the gravel roads that lead to the facility.
In the case here with Preferred Popcorn, we're working on County Road number 9, and we will offer to split half the cost, up to $500,000, with local government entities to help develop that infrastructure.
And more importantly, creating up to 10 new jobs and opening the doors for up to $25 million in annual contracts with farmers.
And there'll be good jobs that will be valuable to people in central Nebraska. And as I said, it's even bigger than that. It'll probably add 30 to 50 more farmers, and those farmers that will create jobs as well.
And it doesn't just affect the Cornhusker State.
The popcorn that's grown here in Marion County, for example, gets shipped all over the world.
99% of Preferred Popcorn is sold to vendors outside of Nebraska, some even outside of the country.
I was on a trade mission with Norm Krug last year when we went to China, and Norm's going back with me to Japan in about a week so that we can expand those trade opportunities.
We're, again, 100% farmer-owned companies.
Sam Krug is Norm's son and has been working in the popcorn business for 20 years.
Probably my favorite is being the family business.
He says the new expansion not only adds quantity, but quality to their facility.
We're putting in the top-of-the-line, brand-new technology for this facility, so our popcorn is going to be some of the best popcorn you're going to be able to buy anywhere in the world. And then in terms of quantity, this facility is going to more than double our current capacity.
Preferred Popcorn's expansion is set to be complete April of 2018.
With the move from Lincoln to Grand Island, the Nebraska State Fair has maintained the longest running cattle dog shows you'll find. NTV's Sarah Kirkley has more.
This cattle dog trial attracts people from all over the country, but we caught up with a couple from right here in Nebraska.
Can't make a poodle do this.
These dogs run on instinct.
Put them through gates, put them through a chute, put them in a corral.
And State Fair Cattle Dog Trial Superintendent Tim Gifford says it takes a bit of training too.
Most of these dogs, practically all of them, live on a ranch somewhere, do a real job every day.
Like Gifford and his wife Tanya's dogs. They've got 4 of them here, 2 each, with neither of them messing with the others. Early on in the competition, Tanya's Zeke had the lead.
But it was a really nice, smooth run.
And it felt really slow while we were out there. It felt like molasses in winter, but it was evidently really fast.
But it was still a nail biter for Gifford.
But I get more nervous. I get cottonmouth worse for her than I do me.
And I do the same for him. Yes, I do.
There's plenty to be nervous about.
We've got some of the best dogs in the nation come here. We have a waiting list. We let 100 dogs in, biggest we've ever been. We have a waiting list wanting to come to Grand Island.
But this couple from the Panhandle is right there with them. Take last year's Nebraska State Fair competition.
And I had it in the bag, and everyone's like, you've got this. And I was like, nope, Tim's up next. He's going to take me out. And he did. He took me out.
Luckily, this is a couple who shares their buckles.
A little more pressure on you. Turtle can't handle it, though. The dog's name is...
A corn grower and state senator says he's angry. That's our Grow interview on property taxes up next. Later, much more from the Nebraska State Fair at the livestock shows.